Manor Lords has made waves in the strategy community since the first trailer dropped back in July of 2020. The dedication to realism in the medieval period has turned into a rather in-depth and unique approach to the campaign side of things, with specialized regions, various production lines, and a gridless, natural sprawl to your village or city design. It is very impressive what we've seen so far on that side of the game, and indeed, that is what drew me in when I first watched the trailer so long ago. Yet something else about the game, and the developer, has really drawn in the masses across all forms of the strategy genre, and it's looking to shape up the competition of much larger strategy developers like Total War. That thing is battles. The battles in Manor Lords strongly vibe with the Total War model, and HForHavoc's devotion to implementing what the community wants within the scope of the game is both impressive and building hype for so many of us watching. In today's video, we'll take a look at his latest video on battle features, how this culmination has been an evolution in RTS tactical combat, and why it's such a big deal in the scope of games like Total War and others in the RTS community. Let's dive in. When Manor Lords first dove into battle footage in the first trailer, the basics of RTS melee-focused battles were in it. Basic formations, multiple unit types from peasants to knights, and a goal for focused tactical battles. The initial hype was there simply because this intro footage was one of the closest things we in the Total War community have seen outside of the Total War franchise. The setting has mass appeals too, as said Total War community has been zealously eager for something to satisfy their medieval desire along the idea of a medieval 3 for as long as I can remember. So to see the medieval setting with modern graphics is indeed a treat in itself. The hype was initiated on day one, with coverage by multiple large game journalism companies, and it spread fast and wide by strategy gamers across the spectrum. Then, HForHavoc, intentional or not, introduced something we don't often see in the RTS genre with regular development updates. Not just regular updates in the form of like, hey, I'm working on this thing, but footage of various battle mechanics taken from the back end of the developer side, or showing off some of the mocap footage he's been working on, etc., etc. And not just to show it off for intrinsic value, but for the purpose of getting feedback from the community. It started small. What do you think about this army setup? Or how do you think this mechanic looks with these stick figures? What kind of animations do you want to see? And is this historically accurate for the period? The openness to the public about the approach to battles, and again, that dedication to seeing what the community thought about what was shown was truly inspiring. And the feedback poured in. Twitter posts, Instagram, Reddit, and good lord, the Discord. Sitting pretty at nearly 2,500 members, the Manor Lords Discord is a server of organized chaos and an unreal amount of feedback from every area imaginable on every single post by the developer. I've never seen such a large scale of feedback generated for a game made by a single developer, and especially not one that listens and takes advice well when it fits the scenario. What we saw with this model of back-end video and an open-ended response was not just detailed feedback that could be compiled and then debated, but an implementation of that feedback on a turnaround basis that we don't see. I personally have had several conversations with HForHavoc on various mechanics and have seen the results within sometimes days, if they make sense. Republic of Play, Party Elite, and other content creators have given feedback based on our experiences with strategy battles, and you can see the results of those conversations. And HForHavoc isn't just listening to YouTubers or streamers. He listens to it all in a relevant manner, in an effort to create the best RTS tactical combat battles that are balanced, accurate, and keep the player engaged without overwhelming them with features, while again, still maintaining the city builder aspect of the game as well. That repetitive model has led to the trailer that's just been released, and it's pretty impressive everything he has implemented into the game thus far. Even though several features are already present in other strategy games, the combination of them in battle and, yet again, the openness of the developer and the fact he is indeed a solo developer are all contributing to that hype. The hype surrounding battles has implications outside of just pure battles. What you will not see in Manor Lords are epically huge, Total War in-game sized battles, at the very least not for most of your campaign. Every soldier that is fighting on the battlefield is an actual person from your empire. The majority of your troops will be levies, literal peasants, called to arms to fight with whatever training and gear that they have in store. That means when they're off fighting a battle, they are not contributing to your economy, and if they die, that economy takes a permanent hit. An especially heavy casualty war will have potential game-changing aspects behind it, which for me personally is why the Battles Features video is so important and hype building for me. It has economic implications. You see, with a lot of the features being shown here, its intentions, like any other strategy game, are designed to keep your men alive, be it by protecting them or by killing everyone else quicker. Individual equipment in the game means that not everyone will always have the same armor, encouraging the player to either buy or craft armor for as many units as they can for protection, and that some soldiers in your units will not be as protected based on demand. Tight and loose formations give the player options for defense depending on ranged or melee combat. Height advantages encourage keeping the high ground, and fatigue plays a heavy part in their effectiveness. Then there's unit stances, the ability to tactically retreat without turning your back to the enemy, a huge win among Total War fans by the way, again are just objectives to keep your men alive, because it has greater impacts beyond just your battles. This economic perspective means that battles are going to naturally be a lot smaller, as I've mentioned. The population mechanics of Manor Lords have not been really discussed as far as I know, so I do not know the potential for population growth. If it follows historical accuracy, it's plausible that larger scale battles would be possible later in the game, but again, it ties back to the actual people. Even if you could rally 2,000 men to a battle, would it be necessary? And what economically would you have to sacrifice in order to do so? To build off that economic idea, I am a strong believer that it's the smaller battle side of what we've seen so far in Manor Lords that is truly building the hype, and here's why. Fewer men on the battlefield is a perfect way to show off battle features. With Total War battles, most of them devolve into giant blobs in the middle. We've all seen it happen. So even when you are able to show off features, the muddied up melee of the epically large battles tend to drown out the effect. Which is why even when you do see new features or mechanics in the works, it's on a smaller scale than what's possible. Switching back to Manor Lords, the small scale battles themselves have more tactics involved. It's not just about throwing your men at each other to blob it up and see who wins. Timing becomes rather important and a much heavier emphasis on formation movement. A braced unit can easily take the brunt of a charge and can then, if they have the ability, slowly push them forward, giving them full advantage. Or they could be outnumbered, fall back in step while still facing the enemy. Troop quality also factors more heavily. In smaller melee battles, your lords' retinues or mercenaries will have a significant advantage over even trained militia, but they'll be expensive and no doubt hard to replace. With the equipment system, assuming the AI has the same mechanics, you could easily target troops you see that aren't so well armored with your archers. Even the archers themselves having volley fire or fire at will could make a strategic difference on the battlefield. From what I've seen thus far with Manor Lords, and even in playing other small-scale war games like the Shield Wall mod for Total War Thrones of Britannia, as epic as a 20,000 man battle is, the smaller skirmishes with smaller number of troops actually make battles way more interesting. And knowing again that each individual troop is a person you use back on the economic side turns things up a notch for me. The impact that these battle videos have had on the RTS community has been wild, and no doubt way beyond the expectation of Mr. Slavic Magic. Comments and threads range from base excitement to euphoria, and so many of them on how Manor Lords will be the death of games like Total War. While I do not in any way believe that last statement, I will say that what Manor Lords has shown us so far is an ability to add features and mechanics into a type of game that we've been told is not possible or not able to be done due to things like, I don't know, upper management priorities. The historical community of Total War, as I said before, has been waiting on an actual pure major historical title since Total War Attila in 2015, a proper medieval game since Medieval 2 in 2006, and the close proximity in graphics, battle features, and time period have been devoured by the fan base. What I also believe is that Manor Lords has shown us that competition is possible. It is possible to create battles that function in many of the same ways or even better than what we have now in the Total War franchise. Whether that amount of expectation was expected by Slavic Magic, I have no idea, but it's there now regardless. And that's not to say that competition is bad. To be quite frank, Total War has had very little to no competition in this department, and it's obvious that battles have suffered in ways because of that. Will we see a response from Total War soon? I very highly doubt it, but I'll save my reasons why for another video in the future. But rest assured, Total War is paying attention. You can bet a good deal of money on that. What we might see in the future for RTS battles for any future game, because of this bit of shakeup, will be really interesting to see, and we all have Slavic Magic to thank for being the catalyst. To wrap this all up, I really want to emphasize this one point. In the context of all this hype, warranted as it may be, Manor Lords is not just a battles game. Those who are expecting it to be are in for a huge surprise. Manor Lords is a very in-depth city economy builder with battles, smaller scale battles than what we are used to seeing in the scope of modern graphics and battle mechanics. Yet what we are seeing are potentially awesome smaller scale battles, slower pace, greater tactics, higher risk, but potentially great rewards that fit inside of that city economy builder. I'm still very hyped for this game in many ways because of the small scale, tactical heavy battles. And I can't wait to see more about the city building side of things as development continues. Slavic Magic has a gem of a game in the works already, and I will continue to support him and Manor Lords through videos such as these. Thank you all for watching this video on Manor Lords. There are 4 big ways to support development. Wishlist the game on Steam, become a member of the game's Patreon, engage in social media, and join the ever-growing Discord server. Links will be in the description for all of those. If you enjoyed this video, do consider subscribing to this channel, giving it a thumbs up, and commenting. The last 2 are crucially important for this video to be seen by the YouTube algorithm, so it would be highly appreciated. Let me know what you think about the game in those comments, or what you would like to see, as I know Slavic Magic would appreciate it when he browses the video. Thank you all again, this is Havoc, and I will see you in the next one.